We are continuing to follow the latest out of Los Angeles, where California Governor Gavin Newsom is now saying that he will file a lawsuit against the Trump administration for deploying National Guard troops without his request. It's a move he is slamming as, quote, unconstitutional.
Donald Trump has created the conditions you see on your TV tonight. He's exacerbated the conditions. He's, lit the proverbial match. He's putting fuel on this fire ever since he announced he was taking over the National Guard. An illegal act, an immoral act, an unconstitutional act.
And for more on this, we're joined now by Axios senior politics reporter Mark Caputo. Mark, is the governor right?
I don't know. I'm not a constitutional scholar nor expert, and the courts will decide that issue.
So how has what we've seen this weekend from President Trump how has it played into the larger political agenda of his?
Well, I would imagine both Newsom and Trump have their own political agendas, and so far the Trump White House, which is what I cover, thinks that this is the fight that they wanted. Not sure what Gavin Newsom thinks, but I doubt he's acting the way he is without thinking it's a winning hand for him. For Trump, he's having some trouble passing his major tax cut and immigration policy bill. And the news that came out of Los Angeles, his reaction to it, and then Newsom's reaction to it is going to make it easier, and they're doing it now, for Trump's White House to begin messaging to Republicans saying, you're either with Trump and with immigration enforcement and this bill, or you're with Gavin Newsom and people waving Mexican flags in front of burning cars set aflame by rioters. That's the choice that you're going to start hearing the White House make publicly. They're making it privately now to Congress to get their legislation passed.
And do you think this is also a warning shot to other blue states?
It could be. I think it's more of a warning shot to other people who might protest. Now, I'm not in Los Angeles. I have not done any reporting down there on the ground. I am prisoner to what I've seen on the media and on social media, so I cannot say exactly what happened and what sparked this. But we do know that there are burning cars, there are rioters there. Now, that's not to say everyone is. And so if you see those images, you're going to probably see Donald Trump react that way, whether it's in a blue city, a red city, a purple city, or state.
What are you hearing from your sources about what's next? And forgive me in advance if I have to interrupt.
So it's a big question, because now that they have deployed the National Guard and they're waiting for all of them to actually get there and mobilize, there's a question about, is this going to be grounds for the Insurrection Act? Up until this point, they have not gone there. The president himself hasn't really gone there. Well, it would just give the troops far more authority under these federal powers than they have so far. So that is a huge question going into the next few hours and even days, depending on how long these protests go. But up until this point, Dana, I think just to highlight some of everything we've talked about, sources who were on the phone constantly over the last few days, both within the Department of Homeland Security and with the White House, I mean, the way they were talking about this was a Portland-type incident. So that is another sort of moment to look back on how President Trump had dealt with that situation. You were just talking about it, Jasmine, in 2020 in front of the federal building in Portland. They are sending as many resources as they can from all parts of the federal government, and that is part of why they've also tapped the National Guard. But the other part of this, Dana, is that I have been talking to sources who have said that there are Trump officials who have been wanting to engage the National Guard and immigration enforcement in a much more deeper way, and they just haven't figured out how to do it yet. And one of the sources I talked to this morning said this could be the slippery slope. This could be where we start to see how they start to pair that together, because up until this point, there's obviously guardrails to that. But that is something that they have been talking about, have been wanting to do more of. They had asked the Department of Homeland Security, or rather the other way around, the Department of Homeland Security had asked for National Guard to help with immigration enforcement. So this is all heading in a certain direction. Right. It's just about when they get there.
And that's such an important point. This is the direction that he wanted to go. Actually, let's listen to the president now.
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. done a terrible job. Look, I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget. I always do under budget.
What does your intel tell you about these people causing all the problems in LA?
Oh,
Are they people ICE is trying to deport, or are they professional agitators?
the people that are causing the problem are professional agitators. They're insurrectionists. They're bad people. They should be in jail. Thank you.
Mr. President, will you invoke the Insurrection Act?
It's like you queued him up, Priscilla. That word he used, they're insurrectionists. That I can't imagine that was an accident, because it seems as though that is the place that the White House is trying to get. And for the president, it's icing on the cake that he can do it in the state of California, because on a whole host of issues, he has had California, Gavin Newsom in particular, in his sights. The question he was asked was about Newsom daring Tom Homan to come and arrest Newsom. And the president responded, I would do it. And then he said, Gavin wants the publicity.
This is a very serious word that's being thrown around now, insurrection. That's a rebellion of the states or people in the states against the federal government. That is not something to be trifled with. If, for example, to your point, the president were to invoke the Insurrection Act, I think we would have yet another legal morass. It would be another instance of the way that the White House is trying to declare emergencies or insurrections in order to unlock vast powers which most presidents don't have access to. More broadly, the immigration issue, that is the track that we're going down with this administration.
It has been the track. Sorry, real quick, Vanya. I would say the Alien Enemies Act, which was the sweeping wartime authority that they use, it's only been used 3 times in major conflicts, was part of what you're describing. They are unlocking powers where they can find them on immigration.
And it's the same with tariffs as well.
I don't want to lose sight of the fact that the President of the United States just called the arrest of the sitting governor of California. I mean, Trump, you tend to brush things off when he said it, but he did say, I would arrest the governor of California. We'll see ultimately where this comes down to. But this fight between California and the White House has been escalating, whether it's just been on this, but there's so much at stake for California. There's billions of dollars of federal money that goes to California. You have reconstruction that needs to happen because of all the devastating wildfires that happened last year. That money still has not been even requested by the White House. So many big questions remain, but that was a pretty remarkable
No, I'm glad
moment.
you underscored that. No, it is a very, very important point. It's hard to figure out what to sort of dig in on, the use of the word insurrection or the fact that he said, sure, my orders should maybe go and arrest the governor of California.
Yeah. And I mean, to his point, it is kind of what Gavin Newsom wants. Obviously,
Well, he
nobody
doesn't want
wants
to be arrested.
Nobody wants to be arrested. But I think if we're looking, I mean, this is a very serious issue, and we should not minimize the fact that these are people's lives. These are people's lives who are caught up in the system. But if you look to 2028, as political journalists do, Gavin Newsom is one of the Democrats who are looming large over the issue of who is going to run to take on who else runs for the Republican side of the race. And so Gavin Newsom is making himself available to TV networks as serious things are happening in his state. And the White House is not going to let that go. They're going to continue to drill this issue. And so I assume we're going to hear Gavin Newsom respond, not just to Tom Homan, but now to Trump over saying that he should be arrested.
And let's, again, just underscore, we're going to have to take a quick break, the fact that this is a policy that President Trump promised to pursue during the campaign. He has a cabinet around him and a kitchen cabinet around him that wants him to pursue it. There's no one like the first term that wants to stop him. And he wants to have this be the discussion that we're all having, not his fight with Elon Musk, not the question of the legislative agenda that he has hanging in the balance, because he thinks with immigration, he wins politically.